Holly McKhann coming to you with the latest Orange County housing market update. And today it's all about myth busting. Stephen Thomas, my favorite economist, that I subscribe to his bi-weekly newsletter about the housing market, gives us 4 myths that I'm going to bust with his great data and facts today. But before we get into that, just a quick reminder, I'm a local realtor in Orange County. I've fixed and flipped over 250 homes with my husband. We love to bring our knowledge, experience, contractors, vendors, whatever you need, whether you're buying, selling, or investing. We've got extra tools, resources, and people to help you make money in real estate. And that is one of my favorite things to do, is help my clients make more money in real estate. So back to the housing market update. We have 4 myths we're going to bust. But he starts out by talking about all the negativity in the headlines, in social media. There are people on YouTube, like me, but I'm not doing that, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all of these different platforms where people are saying the market's going to crash, unemployment is rising, there's a wave of foreclosures coming. All of these crazy headlines, crazy hooks to get you reeled in, but there's no real data behind it. So today we're going to go over the facts, the data, and bust those myths. Myth number 1, housing is in a bubble and about to crash. Sure, our prices just keep going up and up, especially in Orange County. Coastal real estate is very desirable, and our prices seem to be going up even with high interest rates, trying to put pressure on our inventory and demand, but it's really not doing anything. We still have prices going up. He says the housing bubble could not be further from the truth. When home values plunge, as they did during the Great Recession, it is important to consider supply, demand, and the overall health of the housing stock. The U.S. total housing inventory averaged 2.2 million homes from 1996 to 2005. In 2006, prior to the Great Financial Crisis, it eclipsed 4 million homes. Huge amount of inventory. It remained elevated for 5 years. The glut of available homes was matched with very weak demand, exacerbated by job loss and an unemployment rate that surpassed 10% in 2009. There was a flood of forced sellers who were in a financial jam, unable to pay their monthly mortgage, with no equity in their homes. Today, the U.S. total housing inventory is at 1.21 million. Compare that to 2.2 million in normal times and 4 million when we had the great financial crisis. So we have very low inventory, relatively speaking, and increased population. Today's housing stock, all U.S. homeowners combined, has been built on strong credit, great jobs, low fixed payments, no more of those pick a payment plans or options or negative amortization loans. And all of this is creating a very strong base of homeowners. There is a record amount of equity rich, meaning over 50% equity in the home, and record homeowners who own their homes free and clear, meaning no mortgage. There's a lot of very strong financial homeowners. They're not desperate. They're not upside down in their homes. They're not unable to afford house payments. And a lot of them, as we mentioned, own their home outright. So with all of this and our very well-qualified homeowners that are able to make their payments, this is just a myth that is not based in data or fact. Myth number 2, housing inventory is just as bad as last year. It's not. We've actually had an increase in inventory. While it's true that there's a definitive scarcity of supply, a trend has emerged that sets the housing market apart from last year. Inventory is rising. The active listing inventory in Orange County has grown from 1,785 homes at the beginning of this year to 2,620 homes today, a rise of 47% or 835 homes. It's at its highest level since December of 2020. Last year, it was at 2,190, which is 430 homes fewer, or 16% less than now. It's still far from the inventory levels before the pandemic. The 3-year average before COVID there were 6,370 homes at the end of May, much more than where we are now, but we're better than we were at the beginning of the year and last year. So if you're a hopeful home buyer, what does that mean for you? You've got more choices now than you have a year ago and in the past. Myth number 3, when rates drop, prices will drop. I don't really hear people saying that when rates drop, price will drop, but people think that. When I talk to hopeful home buyers, they say, I'm going to wait until rates come down. Well, if you do that, you're going to have so much more competition because there's so many buyers sitting on the sidelines waiting for rates to drop. And there's something magical about that 7% threshold. Things above, when the rates are above 7%, people are holding back. We don't want to play. We're going to stay out. Once it drops into the 6% area, it's just something psychological. They're like, okay, yes, we want to play. We want in. We want to go hunt for a home. So keep that in mind if you're hunting for a home. So what does Steven say about this? He says, currently the high mortgage rate environment is preventing many homeowners from selling. They're enjoying their low fixed rate monthly mortgage payments. According to Federal Housing Finance Agency's National Mortgage Database, 84% of all homeowners in California are locked in with a mortgage rate at or below 5%. As rates drop, it will entice more homeowners to sell their homes when the difference between their current mortgage and the future mortgage is less. The trouble with the argument saying when rates will drop, prices will drop, is that buyers' purchasing power improves dramatically. So here's an example. If a buyer desires a $5,000 per month principal and interest payment with 20% down, last October when rates were 8%, they were looking at a home for $851,000. Today, with rates close to 7%, it improves to $940,000 for that same payment. If rates were to drop to 6%, they would be able to purchase a home for $1,042,000. So just think of the impact of that having on the housing market. That's a $200,000 difference for that $5,000 principal and interest payment. So when a drop in rate happens, the increase in demand will outpace the improvement in the number of homeowners willing to sell. Many homeowners will still opt to stay put in their home with their great low interest rates. I'm just curious, what's your rate? Comment below if you're willing to share. Lots of people love to brag about their very low interest rates. My rate on my own home, this one I'm sitting in right now in San Clemente, 3.75%. At the time, I was a little frustrated because it was higher than what other people were getting, but based on the type of loan and some other restrictions, I had to get the high rate of 3.75%, and I was so frustrated. But now, I'm really thankful. I might be one of those people that keeps this mortgage for a very long time, even if I decide to move. So we're going to include this great table that has the interest rates impacts on affordability. So you can see with a $5,000 desired monthly payment, the amount of home that you can afford with that same payment. So here we are with our last myth, number 4. With unemployment rising, there will be a lot more foreclosures. I hear this surprisingly a lot. And I know that the base of homeowners is really strong, so that's why I find it impossible to believe that there could be a wave of foreclosures, meaning a lot. The unemployment rate has risen from a 50-year low of 3.44% in April of 23 to 3.9% in April of this year. So it went up from 3.4 to 3.9%. But remember, as I was talking about earlier, we were at 10% in 2009. That is vastly different than this number. 3.9% is still a historically low rate, Steven says. Even if unemployment were to continue to rise, it is a long way to go until it becomes problematic. From 96 to 2006, it averaged 4.98%. That was before the start of the Great Recession. That was normal back then. So when you consider this, that we have no opportunity in sight where we're going to have huge unemployment or that it's going to create a wave of foreclosures, that myth is just out the window. Like, there's no way that that could be true. So I'm also going to include this great little graph where you can see the foreclosures dramatically decreasing since the great financial crisis. So the bottom line, ignore all the housing myths, listen to the data, listen to the facts, catch the whole Orange County housing report at the link below if you want to see the whole thing. It's always interesting, I know, to look up your individual city to see days on market, how many homes are on the market, all those little fun facts. Every city is broken out in the whole of Orange County. And still, our distressed sales for foreclosures and short sales, I think we're still at 5 in the whole county. It's practically nothing. So the housing market is very strong. Keep that in mind. And if you have any additional thoughts, questions, or concerns, I'm here to talk about it with you. So give me a call, text, or email at my contact info below, and we can strategize your next moves in real estate. Thanks for watching.